Hey folks, Randy here with Dulin Cut Trim. So I was just on the YouTube, as I tend to be, and I saw a video from this channel called Motown. It's this dude from Australia, and he's got a really good channel. I'm not sure what happened. I think he had a channel before because he had a lot more subscribers at one point. So I'm not really sure what happened or how, I don't know, but really good channel. And I was watching his video, and he has this one called like, I can't remember, but like, if you're a solo operator, don't watch this video. Which, as a solo operator, I'm like, well, bro, now I definitely got to watch this video. That might have been why he called it that. But anyway, so I was watching it, and the crux of it is he has a back problem, I guess, and his back problem flared up on a job, and looks like it's a whole thing. I mean, he was getting shots, and there was medical equipment, and just all kinds of nonsense going on. You know, poor guy. And well, in this video, he's talking about how, you know, as a solo lawn guy, you know, the worst thing that can happen to you is you get injured, and he's right. Honestly, that's something I think about a lot. I imagine a lot of the other solo guys are thinking about that a lot too. You know, part of the reason I drive with it, I mow lawns with a Toro Pro line, is because I know if I broke my arm, I'd be able to drive that mower with one hand. I can trim one-handed. And one of the reasons why I learned how to trim one-handed is just in case something happened and I broke my arm. Although it's got to be my left arm. If I break my right arm, I'm screwed. But as long as it's my left arm, I'm okay. And you know, it kind of got me thinking, because you know, over the years, I've dealt with a fair number of injuries. I've got a weird back problem where, I mean, ever since I was, I think, 18 or 19, I've had a problem with my back where once every other year, it just gets jacked up. I don't know how else to explain it. It feels like I threw it out or something. Like, it's just an absolutely horrible experience. And there's nothing really to be done about it. I've gone to doctors, I've gotten, you know, the imaging or whatever it is they do, and there's nothing. They just look at it and they're like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, you know. And you know, when I work for the state of Maryland, I mean, they're just giving sick leave away over there. So, you know, if you get sick, you get hurt, just take days off, you know. You can even get a doctor to like tell you when you're allowed to come back to work. You know, one time I couldn't go to work for 2 weeks. I wasn't allowed. The doctor said no. What are you gonna do? You know. And so, you know, like I was coming from that, and then once you're self-employed and you're working for yourself, you can take off all the work you want. It's just you won't get paid. You know, and so you have to push through it. And you know, I've had to do that a couple of times. You know, I mean, I feel like I spend half my life with a muscle pull. You know, it's mainly been in my shoulders. You know, that I've had issues. But you know, you just kind of push through it. And honestly, I haven't had that many problems. You know, I mean, I've had a couple that were a little rough, but you know, you work through it. One time I was mowing, and there was a stump that I couldn't see, and my mower hit it at full speed, and my hands were kind of like this, and when I hit it, like my wrist got jammed up, and it ended up being sprained. And they put me in like a thing you put people's hands in when they sprain them, and I, you know, wore that for, I don't know, 3 hours, and there was just like, you know what, screw it, this is too hard, and just, you know, mowed with a sprained wrist, or mowed and trimmed all that with a sprained wrist. And you know, I don't know this to be the case, but this just seems to be how it is for me. When I'm in pain, when I'm hurt, I can't give into it or acknowledge how bad it is, because if I do that, it's game over. It's just, there's nothing else to be, I lose. So like, with that sprained wrist, you know, it hurt, but as long as I was like, screw this pain, I'm not stopping, I was okay. You know, but if I had like stopped and been like, oh man, this hurts a lot, it'd have been over with, because then I'd been all in my feelings, I'd have been in my head, and that would have been it. You know, when I inevitably had the back problem happen, that was one of those weird ones that actually the more you worked, the better it got. So even though the doctor, when I hurt my back again, the doctor said lay down for 2 weeks, there was no way that was going to happen. And I just worked through the pain, and honestly, it ended up going away after a couple of days. But that was brutal. But probably, honestly, the absolute worst pain I've ever had to work through, I mean, absolute worst, was when I got an ear infection. I don't know if you guys have had ear infections. I've only ever had one as an adult, and it was this one, where it was like, I remembered I was like cleaning out my ears, you know, and I noticed this ear started to hurt a little bit, and I was like, that's weird. And then the next day it hurt a little bit more, and I was like, I don't know what that's about. The day after that, it was starting to hurt, and so I was working. So I went to you know, one of those walk-in deals like Right Time, or I think it was Right Time, and got a guy to take a look in there, see what was going on, and he was like, oh, your ear seems fine, let's take some ibuprofen. And I'm like, okay. And so the next day it was starting to really hurt. And the day after that it was starting to really hurt. And you know, the thing is, like, when you have a, you know, ear infection, spoiler alert, that's what happened, that's what it was. When you have an ear infection, there is like nothing you can, there's no pain medication, or at least nothing over the counter that'll take care of it. I mean, there's nothing. If you have an ear infection, there's nothing to be done. Just, you got to take the actual medication they give you, which I can't remember what it is. So after 3 days of you know, going to work, and the pain in my ear getting worse and worse, to the point where I was literally mowing lawns, just crying. You know, just like pull start, you know, shades on the whole time, pull start the mower, just mowing. Just tears just coming down my face, man. Like, it hurts so bad. And I go back to the doctor again, and it's a different person this time. They look, and they're like, oh my. I'm like, what? They're like, that eardrum, man, that sucker is infected. And so they gave me the medicine for that, but it was like, you know, basically they were just kind of like, it sucks to be you. And I was like, yeah, because I still got 2 more days worth of mowing to do this week. So I'm going with a full-blown ear infection, and just, you know, I had to work through it. And like, I'm not kidding when I say I was literally crying and working. Like, the pain was so bad. I'm a tough guy, okay? I've got a good pain tolerance. It's not as good as some, but it's pretty good. And I've never been in that much pain. I've had 3 knee surgeries. I'd rather go through all of them again than have another ear infection, man. It was just the worst pain. And so I would wake up in the morning, cry over my coffee, get in the truck, cry on the way to the lawn, cry while I'm mowing the lawn, come home, lay down in bed and cry some more. Eventually that sucker popped, and it was disgusting. I mean, just green and black mucusy stuff just coming out of my ear. It was terrible, man. But I had to work through it, you know, because I was self-employed, you know. And that's been it. I mean, you know, that's the worst thing I've had, and by far that was the worst thing that's ever happened to me. But the main thing that's really helped me a lot is, this is not the most manly thing to say, but dude, I started doing yoga. And that made a lot of things better. I've also struggled with sciatica a lot, and my sciatica was flaring up, and that was actually what got me started on the yoga thing. And literally within a couple of days of starting up the yoga program that I was doing, sciatica problem went away, and it only comes back if I start laying off the yoga. That's the only time that pain comes back. So I do, I don't know if you guys have heard of the wrestler DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. He actually has a yoga program, and I started doing that, and man, like it's made a huge difference. Yeah, I mean, when bring it all the way back, when Motown says, like getting injured is a problem, I mean, he ain't kidding, man. That's a huge issue, huge thing to keep in mind. But the other thing is, like, and you guys know, because you've been self-employed. If you're watching this, if you push yourself through it, you can make your way through it. I kind of have to. It's almost like it's a mental thing for me. Like, I have to literally tell myself, no, you are not. Come on, lady. Yeah, lady, I can't. People. Killing me, people. Sorry. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. But basically, yeah, those are the main injuries I've had, and yoga was the way I kind of got myself out of it. And I haven't had any problems physically since I started doing yoga. So, I don't know. Just wanted to pass that on. Hope it's helpful to you. It's Randy with Dulin Cut Trim. Have a good one.